Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey Hearties, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host Nicole, and today Theresa and I will be talking about When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 6, The Heart of the Problem. It was written by Ali Devereaux and directed by Neil Fernley. Rosemary and Lee's baby brings up memories of Rosemary's own mother and questions about her past. Meanwhile, the kids feel left out of the hot springs with all the tourists. What did you think about this episode, Theresa?
I thought it was definitely a very lighthearted episode,
Yeah.
apart from some of the more emotional scenes with
Yes.
Rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by some of the more emotional scenes because it wasn't just Rosemary that was making me emotional.
Yeah.
There were a few other moments where I was like, "Whoa, like was not
Yeah.
expecting that."
Yeah.
Overall, I would say, it was a good
It was a
episode.
good
I am
episode.
ready.
Yeah.
I am ready for, some more action, a little more progress in some
Yeah.
of the storylines. But overall, I thought it was great. Very,
Yeah.
very fun episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it was great. It did have some wait, what moments to it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And to start off, why don't we just talk about Lee and Rosemary because they were a big part of this episode. We
Sounds good.
have them at home getting ready to leave for the day. This cracked me up when they are walking out the door and Lee is talking to his daughter, which was so cute. And then they are looking for the hat, and Lee is like, it's on her head.
Yes, that is classic when you're
Yes.
sleep deprived and you're just disorganized and life is a little crazy because you're newborn. That
Yeah.
is a classic thing you just forget. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't go by without mentioning the part when Lee says something along the lines of, I have another idea for the name, Gussie.
I was kind of like, Lee, how on earth do you think that that is a good name? I mean, no shade to all the Gussies out there, but I
No,
mean, come on,
Gussie
Lee.
Elizabeth Coulter. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. And typically Gussie, it sounds more like a nickname to me rather
Yeah.
than an actual name. So
Yes.
yeah, I was like, yeah, Lee, no.
Yes. No.
That's a no. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's his great grandmother's name, is what we find out.
Yes, yes. Definitely a no for me.
Yeah. Speaking of baby names, the brief talk with Florence, Molly, and Nathan, they are discussing more. And I think it's Molly that says Myrtle. And then they mention Gussie again, and Nathan walks up and he's like, Gussie? I thought it was Dimple, Rosemary. When was it ever Dimple?
Oh my gosh.
And then he goes on talking about how he has a great aunt Dimple. I don't think I've ever heard that name
Never,
for a
no.
person.
Never, no. I feel like they had to strategically pick some things that weren't actually names so that no one would get offended. But at the same time, it's like, Lee, what are you thinking? Come on.
No, that is a terrible
Yeah.
name for a baby.
Yes, yes. And I also thought it was humorous that it seemed like Lee kind of like without talking to Rosemary basically told Nathan, "Oh yeah, the baby's name is Dimple."
That's that's almost as comical as spoiler alert, because I know you haven't seen it. The scene in The Vows We Have Made when Rita and Norman go to the hospital with Charlie, who is training to be on their team. And she's pregnant, of course, and she goes into false labor. And they're coming out of the hospital. And Rita's like, she just had Braxton Hicks. And Norman says, Braxton Hicks? That's a terrible name for a baby.
Oh my gosh, that's such a Norman thing to say.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. But moving on to Rosemary at the Mercantile with Elizabeth, they are talking about the plans for the day. Rosemary is having a mother daughter shopping day with her daughter. And then they are going to have a checkup with Faith and a tour of the Valley Voice to see Dad. And Rosemary asks what Elizabeth's plans are. And she says, just getting some new pencils, trying to stay sharp.
They're really going for it with some of the puns this
puns.
season, I
Yeah.
will say. Yeah.
Yes.
They're just full guns with the puns.
Yeah. Hey, that rhymed. Full
Yeah.
guns with the puns. Oh, Rosemary finds the music box playing Lavender's Blue, and Elizabeth catches on to her reaction to it, which I thought was great that she could pick up on how
Yeah.
Rosemary was feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's anyone who knows about grief and trigger points of
Yeah.
grief, it would be Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen her have moments like that quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
where she'll see something that reminds her of Jack and
Mm-hmm.
it'll just kind of change her demeanor.
Yeah.
Like even earlier in the season, we had a similar moment between her and baby Jack where she
Mm-hmm.
put the Mountie hat on baby Jack
Yes.
and it just kind of
Yeah, you could
changed
see.
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think she could pick up on that
Mm-hmm.
with Rosemary. I don't know if she could clearly define it as grief at that moment, but
Mm-hmm.
she could definitely see the change,
Yeah.
and that was a nice little detail in
Mm-hmm.
there.
It was. This scene really got me, and it is Rosemary's talk with Faith. What did
Mm-hmm.
you think about this scene? I know that you loved it from
Yes.
your post on Instagram, but
Yes, yes. I don't know what it was about the scene, but I wasn't expecting that.
I
I was
wasn't either.
fully
No.
expecting, I think what took me by surprise was that I didn't think Faith was actually going to be able to give Rosemary like
Mm-hmm.
any real advice on this situation
Mm-hmm.
just because Faith is not a mother and
No.
she hasn't had children. So I was kind of like, okay, I don't really know where this is going to go other than Rosemary just sharing how she's feeling and Faith just kind of being there supportive of her.
Mm-hmm.
But I was shocked that they actually brought up the
Yeah.
fact that, Faith
Faith.
lost her mother
Mother.
at a young
Yeah.
age. And we haven't heard her talk about that since Carson, since the
Yeah.
Carson days of season 6.
Yeah.
And, Rosemary was even surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
And, the fact that Faith was able to bring in her experience in the maternity
Mm-hmm.
ward and the
Yeah.
term motherless mother is a very
That
wise
was,
term.
yeah.
For sure, yeah. And just them being able to express that and put a name to what
Mm-hmm.
Rosemary's feeling, it was a very powerful scene. And I was not expecting that at
Yeah.
all.
I wasn't either, but it was fantastic. Their acting was incredible.
Oh, yeah. And you could tell how moved not only Pascal, but Andrea was by
Mm-hmm.
the whole scene
Yeah.
because when you think about it at the time, Andrea was pregnant when she was acting
Yes,
out
she
this
was. Yeah.
storyline, and I think you could really see her feelings coming through in that
Mm-hmm.
scene. It was
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. So kudos to both of them. They
Yeah.
were both amazing.
Yes. Rosemary says in that scene, I've never had more love inside me, but I've also never felt so afraid. And she goes on to say that she was 5 when her mother left. She never came back and passed when she was 18.
Hmm. Yeah.
which
That was
was,
sad.
yeah. I guess there goes our theory of Rosemary's mother showing up.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting
Unfortunately.
her. Yeah, I was not expecting her to say that her mother died. I was
Yeah.
fully expecting her mother to show up.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me,
Yeah.
it kind of works. I'm kind of actually
Yeah.
a little bit relieved about that just because
Yeah.
now Rosemary could kind of look back with like, you know, she could look
Mm-hmm.
back with love, I guess, as
Yes.
opposed to like the
That's true.
idea of like,
Yeah.
oh, is she going to show up or whatever,
Yeah.
she could kind of just take that and move
Yeah.
forward.
Yes. Rosemary has a conversation with Elizabeth at home, and Rosemary tells her what triggered her with the music box. And it is that her mother used to sing it to her.
Yeah. It brings me back to the live action Cinderella
Yes.
because in the live action Cinderella,
Yes.
the entire like score of that movie is based off of that song, but it's
Lavender's blue.
specifically
Yeah.
because her mother sings that to her before she goes to bed.
Yes. That's
So
very
whenever I hear
true.
that song, I think of that movie.
Yes.
But yes, the fact that her mother would sing that to her before bed,
Yeah.
it kind of brought me back
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful song too.
Oh yeah. I find myself singing it all the time, so
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Elizabeth's face when she says, "How can I help?" And Rosemary says, "I have so many questions, but most of all, how could she just leave me?" And then the scene just like
Mm,
ends right there.
yeah. I think that the reason why Rosemary is suddenly struggling with the
Mm-hmm.
fact that her mother left her as opposed to earlier
Mm-hmm.
is because, she feels all of this love for this
Mm-hmm.
baby that she just had. And I think she's confused as to how any mother who has that much love for
Mm-hmm.
their baby could leave.
Would leave.
And
Yeah.
I think that's why she's feeling torn about it
Mm-hmm.
and very sad about it, and it's
Yeah.
understandable. When
Yeah.
you give birth, you have all this love for this
Yes.
new human being. Like, it's incomprehensible to understand why a mother would leave willingly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very true. And I loved how Elizabeth was there for her.
For
Very
sure,
touching.
yes.
The talk with Lee and Joseph and Elizabeth about Rosemary, that was a great scene. Joseph, after Lee comes in and is basically saying he doesn't know how to help Rosemary, he says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And that is a verse from the Bible, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4.
Yeah,
I love that verse.
I love that they brought that
Yeah.
verse into the
Yes.
whole situation. I thought it was very
Yes.
applicable. I My one complaint about the whole thing is just that I felt like there were a lot of people involved in Rosemary's
Mm-hmm.
grieving process, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, Elizabeth had basically the whole town
Mm-hmm.
involved with her.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that it wasn't just Elizabeth mourning Jack, the entire town was mourning Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone in town knew Rosemary's mother. So I
Yeah.
just felt like her grief was a little too publicized for me.
Yeah, I see what you're
I felt
saying.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt like there were maybe one or two too many people involved. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say I don't love that Joseph and Minnie
Yes.
came to
Yes.
support and everything. I'm totally not complaining
Yes.
about that. I just
Yes.
think maybe just a few too many people were, in on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
understandable for Joseph because he is the pastor of the
of
town.
course,
So,
yes, absolutely, yes.
yeah. Speaking of Elizabeth talking about Jack, I love that little mention we got with her talking about the things that bring her comfort when she's missing him. A note he left on her desk at school, inviting her to dinner at the jail, and the homemade Christmas ornament from the season 4 Christmas movie.
Yes, I'm so glad they brought that up.
Yes.
And I mean, I love any mention of Jack, but
Yeah.
especially like Elizabeth remembering him. That's always,
Yes.
I love that.
So
So yeah,
special.
that was
Yeah.
a nice little moment. And it's nice that we actually know the specific props that she's talking about, you
Yes, it
know?
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The last line from Joseph I loved in this scene is it's the little things that help us feel close to those we've lost.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And I loved that.
Yeah.
That was super sweet.
Do you have anything that helps you feel close to someone you've lost?
Ooh, well, you know what? I have, this is going to sound really random, but I have this piece of driftwood from the beach. And the relevance of the piece of driftwood
Yeah.
is that it was the last time I got to go to the beach with my grandfather who
Oh.
has passed. But it was the last time we got to go to the beach together. And I remember finding this piece of driftwood and I was kind of playing around with it all day. But I kept it and I still have it. And that was, I want to say, like 6 or 7 years ago. So
Oh.
yeah, I keep that because it reminds me of him.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you? Do you have anything?
Oh gosh. Um, hmm, that's a tough one. I don't know if this would qualify, but maybe home videos with,
Hmm.
I think, my grandfather on my dad's side, I think. Especially, yeah.
They definitely qualify, yeah.
Yes. I haven't watched any of them in forever, but when
Yeah.
I do, it's always fun going back and watching them.
Yes, yes.
Going back to Hope Valley, Lee and Rosemary are at home and they are opening the trunk that she asked Lee to get rid of earlier on in the season. And she even mentions to Lee how glad she is that he didn't listen about that.
Hmm. Yes.
I thought that was a
Yeah.
nice moment.
For sure. Because sometimes we have these moments where we're like it feeling one thing, like in one mood,
Yeah.
and we're like, get rid of everything, you know, like I
Yeah.
don't want to think about it. And then like
Yeah.
later you might think about it and be like, actually, I kind of do want to go down
Yeah.
that rabbit hole. And
Yeah.
I always feel like it's for the better for the most part when you keep stuff just to
Hmm.
remember.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there are things that you need to throw away for your own
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
but you know, like it's for the most part, I would say keeping mementos is
Yes.
always a good thing.
Yes. Rosemary says, it's not just me that will want answers. Our daughter deserves to know who her grandmother was as well. And
Mm-hmm.
they look at the photo and find the letters from her mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very
Very
sweet.
sweet. And I have to say, Rosemary looks so much like her mother in that photo or
Yeah,
from that photo.
you you'd almost think it was Pascal Hutton posing in the photo.
Yes. And actually, that reminds me of a scene I was just watching from season 5. It was episode 6 when Rosemary's trying to go all out for Lee. And,
Mm-hmm.
he's just like kind of blowing it off unintentionally. And I think it was at the end of the day. Like she comes home and he's already there. And they pull out a memory box of Rosemary's with special things from the past. And there's a photo in the box of Rosemary in a costume of some sort, I guess maybe from one of her plays that she did before moving to Hope Valley. And I could have sworn for a split second it was Rosemary's mother. I'm not even kidding. I
Oh my gosh!
had to
Wow.
rewind it. I was like, wait, no, that's Rosemary, not
Yeah.
her mother.
That's crazy. Wow. You
Oh
have
my
a good
gosh.
eye for those little details in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. It was really funny though. Like, wait,
Yeah.
it's
That's
not her
very
mother.
funny.
Rosemary at home with Elizabeth, and they are talking about the letters from her mother and reading one of them. I thought that was very sweet. And
Mm-hmm.
we find out that Rosemary's mother did love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I thought that was a very nice way to
Yeah.
wrap up the storyline, because
Yeah.
I was worried that the mother would be, villainized a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the one thing is, I wish we had gotten a little more explanation about why her parents actually broke up.
Yeah. They
Um,
separated.
I would have liked to know, but maybe that's just me.
No,
Rosemary
it's
was
not just you.
okay not knowing. Yeah, Rosemary was okay not knowing, but for me personally, if that was my
Yeah.
situation, I'd want to know. I would
Yeah.
want to know.
Me too.
But you know, Rosemary was happy with it. That's all that
Yes.
matters.
Yeah.
I may not have been if I was Rosemary, but
Yeah.
that's just me. That's
Yes.
just me.
Agreed.
I would have, yeah, I would have liked a few more answers, but I do think that it was really sweet that she did write all of those letters for
Mm-hmm.
Rosemary and was planning to see
Who?
her
Yeah.
when she turned
Turned
18,
18.
and she just didn't get around to it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And we find out that Rosemary was not able to see her mother because when she and her father separated, the laws of the day allowed him to claim sole custody. And when he was transferred, she wasn't allowed to visit, which is sad.
Hmm. Yeah, it is sad. And it's just kind of like, you want to be, you don't want to pick sides, but at the same time, like, you want to be open to Rosemary's mother, it not being her fault. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's very hard to be open to her dad too in this
Mm-hmm.
situation, because he comes off as kind of the strict, like,
Yeah.
traditional one, and it's kind of like, I don't want to think of him that way. But at the same time, that's kind of where I feel like a little more explanation would have, cleared that
Yeah.
up a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think
Agreed.
ill of either of them, and I don't
Yeah.
think Rosemary does either.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a little more explanation would have been
Mm-hmm.
helpful, just
Mm-hmm.
because, we don't want to think badly of either of them.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
it's hard not to
Yeah.
take sides.
Yeah. We finally have a name for baby Coulter.
Yes. It's been
Yay.
long enough. Yes.
Yes. Marigold Goldie Elizabeth Coulter.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
sweet. After her
Very
mother,
sweet. Mm-hmm. Yes.
which I loved. I kind of saw that coming.
Okay, yeah. In the back of my mind, I was like, I didn't remember what Rosemary's mother's name was.
Yeah.
I totally, that must have just gone over my head. So when they actually named the baby, I was kind of like, wait, what? But I had to, like, go back and, like,
Yeah.
look it up and be like, oh, okay, that's Rosemary's mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the back of my mind, I was like, they're probably gonna make the baby's name Rosemary's mother's name.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Totally didn't expect it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I was like, they're probably gonna go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been cool to see our prediction about Hope come true, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have liked that too. But Goldie is a good name.
Goldie
It's
is a good
something
name.
different.
Yeah,
It's something different. It
it's
kind of
unique.
like, yeah, like it kind of, be Elizabeth picking Jack for baby Jack, it worked because,
Yeah,
Jack had
carry
died,
on. Yeah,
yada yada
carry
yada.
on the
But
legacy.
yeah, but the thing is, like, we don't need to keep reusing the same names over
Mm-hmm.
and over and over
Yeah.
again. So I was kind of glad they introduced something new.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, I kind of wish it had been something a little more emotionally impactful in a
Yep.
way, just like something that
Yeah.
everyone in the Hardys could be like, oh
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Goldie is fine. It's a beautiful name and
Yeah.
it's perfect for the baby. So
Yes, it
I'm just
is.
happy the baby is named at this point. So
Me too.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And may I just say, all the men gushing over Goldie along with the
Yes.
women, that was adorable.
That was really cute and very accurate too, because
Yes.
when I went to school, anytime there was a baby or, even like a toddler,
Yeah.
all of the guys within like 100-yard radius would just be
Yeah.
like they needed to hold the baby, basically.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very accurate.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite scenes in the episode, and it is Rosemary telling Goldie the bedtime story from her mother.
Mm-hmm. That was very sweet. Yes.
And then she
That
says,
was
I love you, my little Goldie, more than life itself. My heart like melted into a puddle right
I
there.
know. Yeah. It's just so nice to see Rosemary actually
Yeah.
like loving motherhood
Yes.
and just like happy, and yeah, I just loved that. I thought that was
Yes.
great.
And the baby, oh my gosh, the baby is precious. I'm not even joking.
Really cute. And she's so good. Like such a good baby. Literally,
Yeah.
she just slept through the whole thing. That was
Yes.
adorable.
I
Yeah.
noticed the bunny wallpaper, so that's what Rosemary went with.
Yeah, yeah. She did. Yeah, the
Oh my
nursery
goodness.
looked good.
Yes. Beautiful nursery. Going into Elizabeth, Lucas, and the Hope Valley kids, Allie, Toby, Cooper, and Angela, because their stories kind of coincided in this episode, which I thought was pretty
Hmm.
cool. What did you think about this whole storyline?
I thought it was nice to see the kids kind of getting to do their thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fun. I I felt like it was a little bit businessy
Mm-hmm.
slash like trying to be educational, and I guess that bored me a little bit.
Yeah, I can
But
understand that.
you know, I was fine with it. It was,
Yeah.
it's not my favorite storyline, but it's
Yeah.
fine. We get to see the
Agreed.
kids. That's always a plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved how Allie kind of took that leadership role in the group.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, agreed.
was
She hasn't really
awesome.
gotten to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And in past seasons, she's been a little bit unsure of her
Yeah.
place kind of in the group. But
Mm-hmm.
now you see how much she's grown, and,
Mm-hmm.
just how she's in charge, basically. Yeah. And I
Yes.
think she is one of the next kids in line to graduate.
Yes.
So she's definitely one of the oldest at this point, which
Yeah.
is crazy to
I
think, but
know.
yeah, I know.
I'm not ready
It's
for
amazing
Allie
to
to graduate.
I'm not either. No. So not ready. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But it's nice to see her in that role for
Yeah.
sure.
The very first scene had me cracking up when they all go to the hot springs. And of course, it's filled with tourists. And Allie, I think, is the one that says, there's so many people and they're hogging all the pools. And of course, it's time for them to go to school. So they're not able to.
Yes. I mean, I remember being a kid and we would maybe be like on vacation, and we'd be staying at a hotel and there's
Yeah.
the hotel pool. You
Cool.
go to the
Yeah.
hotel pool, it's
And it's
all
like
adults
everyone.
like doing their thing, and it's like as the kids you're like, I want to play around, I want to go in the
Yeah.
pool and splash around, but I have all these adults around me who are just kind of relaxing and it's like you
Yeah.
kind of have to figure out who goes where,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. It's very
Yes.
realistic for sure. Yeah.
And then calling Mike Mr. Hickam and Mr. Mitchell is like, will you children keep it down? Some of us are trying to enjoy the experience.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mr. Mitchell, he
He's
cracked me
like
up
that
for sure.
uptight
Yeah.
kind of person. It's like,
Yes.
can't let his hair down.
Yeah, like that over the top, like yeah, I liked how over the top he was. It was very funny.
Yeah. They have a talk with Lucas at the saloon. Allie is the one that suggests how the kids could have one pool and the adults take the other as a solution, but somebody doesn't like that. Cough, cough, Mr. Mitchell. And he calls them miscreants.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, whoa, okay. Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. This is Hope Valley.
Yeah. And Allie's like, we are not miscreants.
I like how Allie can,
Yeah.
stand up for herself. But
Yes.
yeah,
Me
I
too.
think Mr. Mitchell was way out of line
Yeah.
there. But yeah.
Yeah. I thought Lucas had a great quote in this scene, and he says, compromise is just a negotiation. Each side needs to feel like they are getting what they want. And he suggests
Mhm.
that they just talk to the tourist and find out what they want.
Yes. And it actually brought me back to there's one line Abigail has when she's
Mm-hmm.
talking to Henry about making a deal with the railroad company.
Yes.
And she says, compromise is usually when both sides are a little bit unhappy. And
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they're kind of taking a different approach now where they want to make both sides
Yes.
happy. But I feel like in the end, they weren't able to come up
Mm-hmm.
with something that was like worked perfectly for
Yeah.
everybody. But at the same time, it was able to,
Yeah.
kind of, follow both philosophies a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been some talk about this scene on social media. I'm sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
The one outside the cafe with Nathan and Allie and Lucas and Elizabeth interrupting. What did you think about this?
So I think that it brought me back to when Lucas taught Allie a game of cards in season
Yeah.
6, where his intentions were totally good, totally fine, and in this case, I feel like there was less wrong with it, but at the same time, I can totally understand where
Yeah.
Nathan's coming from because
Mm-hmm. His
Nathan has a
dad.
very, very long history of childhood trauma based off of
His
gambling
yep,
and
his
cards
dad.
and poker. So I just immediately my mind went, oh yeah, his dad was,
Yeah.
addicted to gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And now Allie's being introduced to kind of these
Mm-hmm.
terms.
Yeah.
And even when Elizabeth kind of says to Lucas, "Oh, we were just joking," it's like, Nathan wasn't joking. he definitely
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when Allie asked to learn how to play poker, and Nathan's
Yeah.
like, no, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not."
I can see it from both sides, but that did bother me.
What was it specifically that bothered you?
Just the talk of gambling, I guess, and Elizabeth's comment, like I just said.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have no problem with like poker and stuff because I like playing poker, but I mean, obviously, when it's associated with an addiction, which
Yeah, that's
obviously
what I
in
don't
Nathan's
like.
exactly, and like in Nathan's case, yes, there was a lot of
Yeah.
addiction in his childhood that his
Yeah.
father, it led him down the wrong path, and a lot of times when there's addiction in a family,
Hmm.
it's actually like generational. It's not
Yes.
just like one person.
Hmm.
So I can understand where he's coming from, Nathan.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of fans who were upset with Nathan for what he said, I don't think they're looking at the full picture.
Hmm.
At the same time, I feel like it's a very strong reaction for just some poker terms or whatever, but
Hmm.
at the same time, people have to understand that even like a small introduction to poker in Allie's case could mess up what
Yeah.
Nathan's been trying to,
Yeah.
instill in her because I mean a little bit more dramatic of an example, but
Hmm.
if there's alcoholism in a
Yeah.
family,
Hmm.
that carries over to other people in the
It
family.
does.
And
Yeah.
if you start drinking, it could lead to alcoholism.
Hmm.
There's more of a chance of that leading to
Yeah.
alcoholism if you have it running in your family.
Hmm.
Just like in Nathan's case, there's addiction that runs in his family.
Hmm.
It could carry over to Allie.
Yes.
So I think people aren't if they're upset with the way Nathan reacted, it's because they're not thinking about that. But at the same time, I can understand Lucas didn't mean anything by it. He just is trying to explain it in a way that,
Yeah.
would make it sound, like the way he knew how to explain it, which was
Yeah.
through poker terms. Yeah.
Yes.
So I could see
Agreed.
both sides, like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just could have been written maybe a little bit better and delivered
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a tension there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, yeah, it could have been written a little bit
Yeah.
better
Like I've
for
said
sure.
before, I don't agree with gambling, but if it's just to play a game of cards, okay. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the talk at home with Lucas and Elizabeth about working things out with the tourist and compromise. I loved this quote too from Elizabeth, referring to what she tells her students. She says, keep going upstream until you find a source to the problem.
Mm-hmm. That was a very good quote.
Yes.
And I do think it's relevant, maybe not for the hot springs,
Yeah.
but for another storyline that we'll probably talk about later. But
Yes.
yeah, I think that quote is
Yeah.
going to come back because
I
I
think
think
so
it's
too.
very relevant to this season as a whole. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth and Lucas and Mike have a conversation in the saloon with the kids about finding a solution. According to Allie, the only thing they can agree on is they want to go to the hot springs whenever they feel like it or when they don't have anything else to do. Lucas says the source of the problem is that the tourists are bored. And Cooper says, you sound a lot like Mrs. Thornton. Oh,
Yes. If there's anything Cooper doesn't want to do, it's school. So when he hears anything like educational, he's like, "No, shut it
yeah.
down." Yeah.
And then Mike chimes in and is talking about calisthenics, which are jumping jacks, push ups, and lunges. He's been doing them every single day.
Did you catch what got him going on the
Faith,
calisthenics?
Faith.
Yes.
Yes, I called on to that.
I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
it
And
was.
I am so excited to see Hickam / Ben Rosenbaum teaching calisthenics. That's gonna
Yes.
be, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
that'll be awesome.
That's gonna be hilarious.
And this is actually the solution. They suggest the idea about other activities to Mr. Mitchell, including calisthenics, provided by the Queen of Hearts. He agrees to give it some thought.
Which sort of means a yes. Yeah.
Yes, which basically means yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We get to the barbecue. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about this in just a little bit, but the short moment with Lucas and Elizabeth playing what I think was cornhole or just the beanbag toss, that looked really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. And it was funny because I saw a parallel that someone shared of like way back when Lucas was teaching Elizabeth how to do darts and she kind of like
Oh,
messed up. Well,
yeah.
this time he like comes over and like wants to help her out and she's just like,
But
"Nope, I got
she
this."
makes it.
Yeah. Yeah, she makes it
Yeah.
without looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a I was a little confused why he was so like zoned in on like helping her. Like he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, can I help? I have a
Yeah.
lot of experience." I was kind of like,
Yes.
"Okay,
Yeah.
okay, Lucas. I mean,
Yes.
maybe that's his way of flirting, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was cute.
yeah, it was cute. Yeah."
We also get a clip of tug of war with Toby, Ned, and Faith versus Mike, May, and Emily. That was fun. And it actually brought me back to the episode in season one. I think it was episode 5 with the minors
Mm-hmm.
games tug of war.
Yes, brought me right back there. It was
Although it
very
was a little
funny.
bit shorter, I'm kind of disappointed. It lasted
Yeah,
like 5
honestly,
seconds.
Yeah, I was ready for a tug of war, but it was like 3v3 as opposed to like all of the minors
Yeah.
like doing it. But yeah, it was a
Yeah.
nice callback there. Yeah, it definitely
Yes.
reminded me of season 1 for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of these games, what would you pick? Cornhole or tug of war?
I would go for cornhole any day. I love cornhole. I'm not good at cornhole, but I enjoy it. Uh, Tug of war just leaves me with like all of these like blisters. So I'm like, yeah, it's not really for me. I'm not very good at it either.
I've
So
actually never played cornhole, I don't think. But
really,
I have
wow.
but I have played tug of war, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah. I played tug of war in high school, and
Yeah.
then cornhole was more of like the college party activity type thing.
Yeah.
Like whenever you went to a party, there was cornhole. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of the thing to
Yeah.
do.
It's a
So
big thing around football season. I know that.
yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. I think I would choose tug of war.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Tug of war
since
is fun too.
I've
Yeah.
never played cornhole, but I'm sure it's fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, both of them are a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Spending time at the hot springs with Elizabeth, Lucas, and little Jack. Of course, the kids are there. And Cooper says, "We couldn't have done it without you, Toby. If you hadn't taught us to be card sharks." And I'm just like, oh, Toby.
Oh my gosh.
And Lucas is like, he's kidding.
Oh my gosh. And then you have Elizabeth in the chair, like,
I don't think we've heard that term since season one,
well,
or maybe season
actually,
six.
I actually think that that term was brought up when Lucas was playing Agatha and Bill. And
Okay.
Bill said, "Oh yeah, you're quite the card shark." And Lucas was kind of
Okay.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
not anymore." Something like that. So it has been used this season, but
Okay.
not by a kid for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I was
I'm
like,
just
okay.
surprised. Yeah, I want to know more about this kid Toby who knows about card sharks and a whole bunch of other things. Toby's a very interesting character. I,
Oh
I
my
want to
gosh.
know more about his background.
Yeah. And we know how the card shark thing ended in season one with Kat
Yeah.
Montgomery.
Yeah, no, 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 no.
Not
Not
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that bugged me about the whole gambling
Yeah. I think,
mentions because of
yeah.
past storylines.
Yeah, because, like in season 1, gambling was considered like
Bad.
horrible, really bad.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth saw the devastation that
It calls Kat.
gambling caused Kat. Yeah, put her in jail, put her in this position of vulnerability with
Hmm.
Spurlock.
Yes.
And then her husband basically had this addiction that she had to hide from the entire community.
Hmm.
And so it's just this very devastating thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a contrast between what Elizabeth saw in season 1 versus how she feels in season 10. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
it's a regression or anything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's very weird to me to see like that being shown as like kind of a good thing, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. I kind of don't I feel a little bit icky about it.
Yeah. I see
Not
what you're
because I have
saying.
a problem with like poker, but more because I have a problem with like when
Yeah.
gambling becomes an addiction.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
the
and
way I
I
feel
I
too.
don't exactly, and I don't want Lucas being the card player to kind of
Hmm.
become his identity, which
Yeah.
is clearly from this episode you can see that all of the kids think of
Hmm.
him that way.
Yeah.
They're all kind of think of him as
Hmm.
the gambling guy, which I don't think is
Yeah.
good, you know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Mr. Mitchell is at the hot springs early and takes them up on the offer for the other pool. And Toby gets in the pool that he's in, that he was sitting on the edge of, and splashes Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
He's like, it's fine. Everything is fine and dandy.
Yes.
It's all good. That was hilarious.
That was very funny. And I know I mentioned earlier being a kid and going to like the hotel pool on vacation and like having to work it out. But I've also been on the other end of the spectrum where I'm an adult in the pool, and then there are kids like splashing all around me, and I could feel Mr. Mitchell's pain in that moment. So I was like, I understand. That's
Yes.
That's when you just gotta like hold it in and just move on.
Yes. Moving on to Nathan and Allie. The first scene we get with Nathan is in the first few minutes of the episode. He has a talk with Harry, the bandit, outside the mercantile.
I really liked how Nathan's kind of taking Harry under his wing a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, Harry, you could see Harry's a good kid, even though he made some bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's really trying to make the most of this second chance that he's been given, which is nice to see, because that's not always the case. Is, you know, you have cases where they won't take the second chance or they'll just throw it away. But yeah, he really seems like he's making an effort to make up for it. And I kind of like how Nathan, you know, mentioned that he was going to Eagle Creek. And he kind of told Harry that. He's like, yeah, I'm going to check this out.
Yeah.
And I believe, did they mention in this episode that the Mountie for Eagle Creek had been transferred?
Reassigned. Yes, they did.
Reassigned, yeah. Yeah. So there's no Mountie for Eagle Creek right now. So Nathan's kind of the Mountie for not only Hope Valley, but also Eagle Creek. Yeah. So he's kind of the one taking on that investigation.
Yep. And speaking of that investigation, he goes to Eagle Creek, he fixes a sign, and then he finds dirt. So basically everything is dried up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that dirt was like, it was like sand. That's how dry it was.
Yeah.
Like, you can't grow anything.
Not only was this a parallel to one of his first scenes in season 6, but it also reminded me a lot of one of Jack's very first scenes when he goes to the burn site of the church and he picks up the squashed up bottle of whale oil.
Yes. I remember that. Yes. Whenever, I feel like it's kind of a requirement when you're a Mountie and you're investigating to kind of get down on one knee and then like pick up something. Because even in When Hope Calls, the same thing happened with Mountie Gabe. Their whole the whole mercantile burns down.
That's right. Yes.
I forgot about he goes in the middle, picks up that burned baseball. And he's down on one knee too. I was like, that's just a requirement, I guess.
Maybe I should do a reel with those.
You should. You definitely should. Yeah. Because they're all there. They're all there.
Yeah. Nathan has another conversation later on in the episode with Harry. They are talking about how bad it is at Eagle Creek. It started about a year ago when Union City bigwigs started buying up all the land. Someone from the Union City Holding Company came out, sat on the porch with Harry's pa, and offered about twice what the farm was worth. He said no, and the next thing they knew, the river went dry. And of course, Madeline standing right behind them, overhearing the whole thing.
Yeah. I have my theories about this. I think that Madeline is working for Union City Holdings.
Yes, or her husband did, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think she's in with them. And I think they did a similar thing to Eagle Creek that they're about to do to
Oh
Hope
God.
Valley, which is buy land on with water.
Yeah.
And that's why all of Eagle Creek dried up, is because this
Mm-hmm.
one company. And I'm not sure really if that means they're building a
Yeah.
dam or if they're redirecting the water somewhere
Yeah.
else, or I don't know. But I
Yeah.
do know that if Bill is not careful, his land is going to become the new Union City Holdings place in Hope Valley, and it's just not gonna be good.
Mm-mm.
It's not gonna be
No.
good. Yeah,
No. Not at all.
yeah. I have to say, I was a little bit surprised that Nathan didn't put two and two together. Like,
Yeah.
massive drought and people coming into town buying land. And then you have Madeline buying land from Bill that has to have water on it. I was like, come on, Nathan, put two and two together. Let's
Yeah.
let's
Exactly.
come on, let's be
Yeah.
smart here.
Yeah. We've already talked about this scene when we discussed Lucas and Elizabeth and the kids. But I have to mention these two funny lines from Allie when she's outside of the saloon talking to her dad. And first she's like, in case I'm inspired to take the waters, in reference to Mr. Mitchell. And then, of course, Lucas and Elizabeth interrupt, and she wants to know how things are going with finding a solution. And Allie says, Dad should just put them in jail.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Allie, that's not how it works.
Yeah, and Nathan was even saying something like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, poor Allie.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The conversation with Bill in his office. I know that this was another scene that got you.
Yeah. And I have to say, there were two scenes that really stayed with me with this
Mm-hmm.
episode. The one with Rosemary and Faith, and then this scene.
This one. Yeah.
Um, I mean, the one with Rosemary and Faith, that one
Yeah.
was very surprising to me. This one wasn't as surprising because I kind of thought in my head, oh, this might
Mm-hmm.
happen. The conversation might
Mm-hmm.
go there, but I wasn't actually expecting it to go
Mm-hmm.
there. And yeah, when Nathan said, what's the line? He said, "You can think
Missing
whatever you
out.
want." Yeah, he's
It's
like,
the worst feeling of
call it
all.
whatever you want, but missing out, it's the worst feeling of all. I mean, straight to the heart with that one. I was just
Yeah.
like,
I think, at least in my opinion, he was talking about Elizabeth.
oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't read it any other way. He is talking about Elizabeth,
Yeah.
and I don't think they wanted us to think of it any other way. He's talking about
Yeah.
Elizabeth here, and I think we haven't really heard Nathan say specifically how he felt in the aftermath of
Season
the
8.
whole triangle thing, season 8. And, we heard a few comments here and there, sarcastic comments in season 9, but we haven't really heard him like outright say it that
Mm-hmm.
it it really, you know,
Hurt
really
him. Yeah.
hurt him. And this was the first time that we actually see it.
Yeah.
And I love how Bill kind of like took that in. He
Mm-hmm.
noticed it. He wasn't just like, oh yeah, my problem, whatever. He
Yeah.
kind of saw that what was going through Nathan's head and kind of
Yeah.
like stashed it away for
Yeah.
later. But it's just, yeah. I mean, it really stuck with me just because
Yeah.
it's very devastating to
Mm-hmm.
have all these plans, because he wanted to marry Elizabeth.
Yes.
He wanted to marry her, and to have all those plans, have all this like vision, and then all of that's kind of taken away, and then to watch it play out for somebody else and for a lot of
Yeah.
other people too. Not just Lucas and Elizabeth,
Yeah.
but a lot of other people finding love too. And it just hasn't happened for him. And so I feel like
Yeah.
he feels like he's on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was so sad. Oh my gosh, so
I know.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on that scene?
The same as yours. I
Yeah.
agree with everything you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did break my heart to see Nathan in that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I kind of had a gut feeling that he was there, but hearing him actually say it out loud was,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Yeah.
heartbreaking, but also kind of cathartic in a way
Yeah.
to just kind of actually know for sure, yeah, that's what he's thinking, that's where
Mm-hmm.
he's at.
Yeah.
And, I have some theories that possibly maybe that's what's coming between he and Faith. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's just not ready to put himself back out there
Yeah.
again.
Which
And
is
same for
understandable.
her, Yeah, same
Yeah.
for her with Carson. I don't know,
Carson.
but yeah. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just think that yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's possibly relevant for maybe what happened between him and Faith. So,
Yeah.
we will
Agreed.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a happier note, we get a short scene with Nathan and Allie playing catch with Cooper, which I also loved.
Yeah, that was sweet. I mean, we've heard
Until,
Nathan talk about baseball a lot, so it's nice to
yeah,
actually see him playing baseball with Allie and Cooper.
yeah,
That's really
yeah.
fun.
Until they're interrupted by Mr. Mitchell
Oh gosh.
telling Lucas he's decided to accept the offer.
Yeah.
Bad
Oh my
timing.
gosh. Yeah, it's like let us watch Nathan and Allie play ball, Mr. Mitchell. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And the brief talk Nathan has with Bill at the barbecue about the
Mhm.
tug of war, reminding them of Mountie basic training. Either you're
Yeah.
in or you're out.
Yes. That was fun. That was fun. I
Yeah.
liked hearing them talk about, like the
Yeah.
being in the academy and
Mm-hmm.
kind of going through training
Yeah.
camp. And I was a little bit surprised that Nathan said that he couldn't do tug of war because of his shoulder still. So I'm kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I actually talked to some of my friends who are medical
Yeah.
professionals, and they said that's not normal. That's not normal for a year after you dislocate your shoulder to not be able to do things like that. So I'm part of me is like, Nathan, you need to go check that out. You need to go
Yeah.
get that checked out.
Agree.
But I liked the talk about base camp, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun. Bill,
Yeah.
I could see that scene as Bill kind of like he took that conversation that he had with Nathan in the jail, and he's kind of returning the favor of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
encourage Nathan
Yeah.
to put himself back
Yeah.
out there because I don't want Nathan to
Yeah.
be lonely or alone.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
love how Bill just like takes the glass from his hand and then Nathan just like shoves the pitching glove into Bill's
It's like
arms
I'm doing this, yeah.
as he goes to ask Faith to dance, which that
Yes.
kind of disappointed me. It was only like 4 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why it was so short just because, you
Yeah.
know, with them trying to hide Andrea's pregnant
Yeah.
belly,
That
and
makes
it
sense.
makes sense. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, this is if we're going to have Nathan and Faith, this is a big moment.
Yeah.
Why are we not seeing more than four
Yeah.
seconds? But I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just took it more as Nathan putting himself out there
Yes.
and less of like a Nathan and Faith
Mm-hmm.
big
Yeah.
moment. So
Yeah.
I took it more as that,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Canfields, they had some nice moments in this episode, and they were a big part of it because of the barbecue,
Yes,
which
I
I
loved
loved.
seeing like the references to their southern roots, and
Yeah,
I've really become more invested in their story this season. I
yeah,
think the writers have done a phenomenal job with them
yes,
this year, and so seeing them do like the little barbecue sauce competition, I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was
That was
so
really
cute
cute.
and
Yeah.
so adorable. So I was here for it. I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The talk at the cafe, of course, with all the tourist business is going well, and they decide it's time to celebrate with another community dinner featuring the St. Louis and Kansas City barbecue of
Hmm.
their mothers.
Yes. Yes.
The
That was very sweet.
competitiveness between Joseph and Minnie, that was adorable.
That was really funny. Yes.
He's like, He's like,
He's like, don't be letting people taste it behind my back.
Yeah.
And then goes and
Speaking
does the same thing.
speaking of tasting behind somebody's back, Minnie is at the cafe with Florence and Molly talking about the barbecue. And when Minnie's not looking, they sneak Joseph's.
I didn't notice that. Okay, that's hilarious. I had no idea. I should have I should
Oh my
have
God.
noticed that. That's very funny.
And then they see, I guess, at the corner of their eye, Minnie turning back around, and they're like pretending they're all goody two shoes. Like they didn't just sneak something they
Yes.
shouldn't have.
Yes. That was very
Oh
funny.
my goodness. Another scene with two people sneakily tasting the barbecue, Joseph and Lee at the cafe. And Minnie comes in and she catches them trying it.
That was very funny.
Yes. And I think Minnie even says something to Joseph along the lines of, "Now I can't have you lying because you're the town pastor."
That was very funny and very clever because
Yes.
he is a town pastor, and then he's trying to keep it covered up.
Yeah. I love the talk with him and Minnie after Lee leaves when she says, Hope Valley is different. Maybe you can finally focus on one thing. He says, What
Yeah.
would Lee do without me, Minnie? What would any of us do?
Oh, yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pillar of the community at this point,
Yes.
which I love.
Yeah.
But I do think that it would be great to see Joseph just fully embrace
Mm-hmm.
that pastorship
Yeah.
role and not feel the need to, have to
Yeah.
work 17 jobs, as Nathan would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that it would be really good for him to just embrace that role and
Yeah.
not have to worry so much. I think in the back of his mind, there's still that memory of Angela and Cooper getting sick and then Angela going
Mm-hmm.
blind after that. And I think he wants to be
Yeah.
prepared for something like
Yeah.
that to happen. But
Yes.
this is different. This is Hope Valley.
Yeah.
Everyone comes together, and
Yeah.
this season is proof of that. So I think it would be a good time for him
Mm-hmm.
to embrace his role
Yeah.
as pastor.
Yes. I loved the talk that he had with Henry about the park, and he invites him to the barbecue, which I loved. And of
Yes.
course, Henry shows up.
Yes, yes. I love that. And Henry has a history of like not showing up when there's like a community event, but I
Yes.
really liked that this time he was kind of, he was
Yeah.
kind of there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I loved the welcome from Joseph and Minnie at the barbecue.
Hmm.
And they're talking about how there will be a competition between her mother's St. Louis and his mother's Kansas City barbecue. And
Yes.
I think it ended up being a tie, if I
Yes. I
remember
think
correctly, from Bill.
I think Bill mixed the sauces and was
Yes,
like, "This is really good." And then after that, they're just like,
it's
"We're
Hope
not going to
Valley.
count any of the votes." Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I loved how Minnie was actually the one to give a speech this time. Because
yeah,
usually it's Joseph, but
hmm
he's like, "Oh, you want to do it?" And she's like, "Yeah." Personally, I would not want to get up in front of everyone and make a speech ever.
yeah,
But Minnie was totally totally fine with it, and I loved
yeah,
how she just kind
yeah,
of went right into it,
yeah,
and yeah, so that
yeah,
was nice to see.
yeah. I thought the brief little moment between Cooper and Jamie was really nice when he is talking about his parents' barbecue sauce from two of their three homes. And Minnie chimes in and she says, nowhere has felt more like home than Hope Valley.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love how this season there's a lot more of like, you know how back in the earlier seasons they'd be like Hope Valley is special. Hope
Yeah.
Valley is like this
Yeah.
town. There's something about this town that's special.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really bringing back this season because everyone's saying that. They're like, oh, Hope Valley's home. Hope Valley
Mm-hmm.
is just a very different from other
Yeah.
places. And I love how they're distinguishing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's a nice callback, but
Yeah.
also nice that people still feel that way. So,
Yeah. I agree.
yeah.
Going into Bill, Madeline, and Jamie in this episode, Bill and Madeline have a talk at the saloon. He gives her the contracts from Union City for his land, and he invites her and Jamie to the barbecue. And she declines. But then, of course, she shows up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think she doesn't want to get attached or emotionally involved
Yeah.
with Bill at this point because she knows she's gonna stab
Yeah.
him in the back. She knows that. You can see it on her face
She
when
doesn't
she's
want to.
watching. Yeah, no, she doesn't want to, but she knows she has to. And so when she's watching him like play football with Jamie
That
at the
was really
barbecue,
sweet.
you can see that she's like, admiring Bill and Jamie and their relationship. But at the same time, you see a lot of like regret or
Mm-hmm.
reluctance on her face, and you just know you're like, don't do it, Madeline. Don't
Yeah,
do it.
don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Madeline and Jamie's talk at the park. They have settled his father's estate and can go home, but Jamie doesn't want to leave. She does. I wonder why she wants to leave. Hmm.
I mean, I think it's because she doesn't want to be there when
When things,
everything goes
yeah.
down. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why. I think also what's kind of interesting is that I think Bill thinks that they're going to live in his cabin on his land.
Mm-hmm.
And here she is, like, as soon as she and Bill are done with the deal, she's like, oh, we're getting out of here. I was kind of like, like, I think she
Mm.
doesn't want to. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fishy. It's very
Yeah.
fishy. Yeah.
I'm
So.
looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, I think poor Bill is going to be a little surprised and slightly devastated when he finds out she's not
Yeah.
actually planning on living there. Yeah.
Mm.
So. Oh boy.
Things are
Yeah.
getting interesting.
Yeah, things are heating up. We will see. I think
Yes.
it'll start actually getting the second half of the season. I think we'll see more things getting into
Yeah.
motion with that storyline.
Why don't we just talk about that preview for this week? Because this is a big episode too. In some
Mm-hmm.
ways,
Yes.
we have a Hope Valley favorite. Rosaline is back in town visiting, and the radio is
Yes.
coming to Hope Valley.
Yes, it's a big deal, and I know a lot of people. Or there are a lot of new Hearties out there, and a lot of people who haven't seen season one in a while. But as soon as I saw Rosaline, I was like, yeah, she's back. Yeah,
Back from the
but
black hole.
yes, we were worried she was gonna be down there for a while. So yeah, but I was very happy to see her back. I
Yeah.
think I even said this in my blog post, but I think anytime they make references to season one, we're all better for it. I just think that that's
Yeah.
always a plus in my mind. And I really think this story between her
And
and
Henry.
Henry and the theme of like forgiveness is going to be a
Oh,
really good
yeah.
thing. And I think it's actually going to help him to finally move past
Let go.
this,
Yeah.
this ongoing guilt that has been plaguing him
Mm-hmm.
for basically all 10 seasons. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very good storyline. I suspect. Yeah.
We get a clip of Henry talking to Elizabeth, and he says, "I'm the last person that she'd want to talk to."
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. That's gonna be rough. I will say that.
Oh.
Yeah. Hopefully Elizabeth can kind of act as the mediator between the two of them. And yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure it's weird for Rosaline to come back and suddenly everyone is like on board with Henry Gowan and everyone's like, oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Like, imagine your dad gets killed in the mine because of Henry Gowan and the court rules on it to prove it. And then you come back to town like 10 years later and everyone's like, oh, Henry Gowan's great. He's amazing. Like, that's gotta be a little jarring, I would say.
Yeah. I don't even remember when Rosaline's last episode was. It might have been in season 1.
I think it was in season 2, I believe. She was in season 2 as well, but she didn't have as prominent of a role. You could see her in a few of the classroom scenes.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen Rosaline.
Yeah, it's been way too long. So I'm glad she's back from the black hole. So,
yes. I think I saw in an Instagram post, it was a picture of the Valley Voice, like the front page or something, with Rosaline and Molly. And I read the little blurb on the little paper clipping. And if I remember correctly, I think it said that Rosaline had been nannying and she was back in town before she leaves again for a big opportunity or something.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
So I wonder if they'll explain that in the episode, like actually mention it.
Oh yeah, I think they will. Yeah. I mean, I hope they do. They're pretty specific with it because I know when Katie Yost came back, she was a teacher.
Yes.
At that point, and she came back, but they didn't get super specific with it. But I would like to know with Rosaline, because she's Molly's daughter. She, is a little younger than Katie Yost, but so I would like to know the reason why we haven't really seen her that much. So
me too.
That would be nice. Yeah.
And I believe I just sent you this a little while ago from a story from When Calls the Heart Thoughts Team Nathan. Hi, if you're listening. It was from a Facebook post about the episode, and it looks like we'll see some more Fiona this week.
Yay!
With her fixing the radio, I think. Yeah,
we've been sorely missing Fiona this season. Yes. Like last season. We didn't get enough of Fiona. So I'm hoping that we'll finally, Fiona's locked in for the rest of the season. We'll get more of her. Me too. So I think it's going to be fun. Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think all around, we've mentioned this, but episode 6, pretty good episode. I think I gave it 8 out of 10 on my.
Yeah. I think I was a little higher on it. I gave it an 8.5, but I think my feelings about certain things were more of an 8, I would say. Yeah. For the most part, it was a good episode. Yeah. It wasn't my favorite of the season, but it was fine. Yeah.
Looking forward to this week. It's going to be great.
Yes, me too.
All right, Hearties. I think that wraps up our review of When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 6. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like this video. And if you want to share any thoughts that you may have about the heart of the problem, you can let us know in the comments of this video. If you want to stay up to date on the rest of our reviews for Season 10 and any of my movie reviews, you can subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next week. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.